Now, this evening, we have Dr. Michael Chen-Illamos, a family physician at Open Door Family Medical Center in Ossining. So, of course, thanks for joining us tonight, Doctor. How's everything going?
It's going well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. So, we're just going to get started by talking about your practice and how things have been going on at this point as, you know, developments occur by the day, by the hour.
So we've had a lot of patients that are coming in. The volume definitely started to pick up, and a lot of concerns in the community were being questioned, or a lot of our patients were coming in, calling in concerned, and showing up at our office. And we were basically trying to reassure our patients by doing testing, patient education, triaging patients to see those patients that could be safely managed at home, and those patients that needed a higher level of care. And really, we were trying to give our best interest in providing the best primary care that we can in the community setting.
Perfect. So we've been talking about how several communities with a minority population, especially African Americans and Latinos, are being really hard hit. As of last week in Westchester, we have 36.5% of patients who had died from COVID-19 were African American, 35.1% were Hispanic. So in terms of this, what are you seeing at your practice?
So we're seeing the trend as well. It's following the trend that we're seeing with our patient population. Many of the patients that we see are underserved. English is not their first language. We do have a lot of Hispanic, Latino, Latina patients and African American patients that have chronic medical illnesses that may increase their risk of complications with coronavirus. And those are the patients that we're really reaching out to. We're making sure that our care teams are reaching out to patients, seeing that they have enough of their medications, assessing them for symptoms, also giving them the basics of how to protect themselves by staying at home and taking their medications, and when to contact a doctor.
Perfect. So when should they contact the doctor? What are you telling them in terms of that?
So if they notice that they've developed any type of fever, if they're feeling short of breath or short-winded, or having chest tightness, if they're having any kind of a cough or dry cough, that's something that's new, and also just being aware if they've had any recent exposures. Obviously, those are the most common symptoms, but we've seen some atypical symptoms, which may include diarrhea, a loss of sense of smell or taste. So we're alerting our patient population to look out for some of these symptoms, and that's, you know, a good time to give one of our care team or one of our clinicians a call.
Now, in terms of testing, are you seeing equal access in terms of testing when it comes across like racial lines? Do you think everyone is having equal access to these coronavirus tests?
For us here, I've seen that we have equal access across our payer types, so patients with or without insurance, and of different ethnic backgrounds. We do test broadly. So any patient that comes to Open Door that have severe symptoms and they have chronic medical illnesses or severity that's very high, we will go ahead and test. We are fortunate that our laboratories that we're working with can afford to test or allow us to test our patients that have no insurance for free. So that is not a limitation in terms of whether or not a clinician can test a patient. So we have broadly offered testing for those patients that have high-risk comorbidities here at Open Door.
And that's definitely something to keep in mind, because a lot of people, I feel like, might be nervous that they don't have insurance. How am I going to pay for this test? What do I do? So you're saying that that's not an issue right now.
It is not. We can test, and patients will not have to pay out of pocket for that if they have no insurance.
Perfect. So we were talking a little bit earlier. So you were talking about how while this whole thing is going on, of course, there's still patients that do have critical illnesses that aren't coronavirus. So what are you saying to those patients? What should they keep in mind?
So we are still doing office visits for patients that have essential needs to come into the office. For example, patients that have asthma that are having asthma exacerbations, patients that have skin infections that may happen to be a diabetic and may be at high risk of worsening of that infection. Patients that are coming in with urinary tract infections or ear infections. These medical concerns don't stop, and we have created a space in our clinic that we can now triage patients that are otherwise well that do not have COVID-like symptoms to be seen by a clinician face-to-face.
So tell me more about that. How are you keeping the two communities separate kind of from each other?
Yeah, so at the front door of Open Door, when patients come in, they are their temperature is taken, and they are given a mask if their temperature is over 99.6. And we are triaging them to the side of the building of Open Door. There's a separate entrance for them, and there's a tent that we have that is set up to triage patients one by one so that the volume is decreased in the amount of people that are in the building in the back section of the unit. For patients that are otherwise coming in for chronic illnesses that have no temperature and otherwise feeling fine, can proceed to registration and then waiting to be seen by their clinician. And this has been an excellent way of us making sure that we are screening all patients, regardless if they are not sure if they have a fever or not. We've actually been able to note a few patients that came in and didn't know that they had a temperature until we took their temperature at the front door, and we were able to appropriately triage them for testing.
Perfect. So yeah, so people still get illnesses, people still get sick. If you feel a little like strep throat action coming along, they can still come to you and feel safe?
Exactly. And we want them to understand that we are still here in the community. We are open, and we are prepared to continue to take care of patients. We are resilient as a federally qualified healthcare center, and we are here for our community through challenging times.
Perfect. So we do have a question from Facebook. Someone commented that they work in a warehouse where someone has tested positive. What should their next step be? So someone they work with tested positive, what should they do?
So we've been counseling our patients that if you've had an exposure to a positive case or a positive case of coronavirus, that you don't need to be tested. That is not an automatic thing that has to happen, nor do you need to be quarantined or isolated at home. You should be looking out for symptoms that may include tightness in the chest, difficulty breathing, cough, or fever. And if any of those symptoms arise, then you should be contacting your primary care clinician to see whether or not they can be triaged on the phone. Do they need to be seen in the office? Or if their symptoms warrant them to be seen or evaluated in the emergency department. But looking out for symptoms is the first and foremost thing that we advise our patients to do, and not automatically go to the emergency department or request testing because it is not indicated at that time.
And we've heard a lot of stories about people who feel like they do have symptoms. Maybe they were in contact with someone. They call the doctor's like, okay, you can assume that you have it, but you don't necessarily have to get tested. So what do you say to that? I know that's been dealt with a lot in New York City especially.
Yeah, it's very challenging. A lot of it has to do with the limitation with our testing and also trying to prioritize our chronically ill patients and patients with multiple comorbidities. We usually will tell our patients that if they are otherwise feeling well, with some mild symptoms, that is, then these symptoms should be just monitored closely and in connection with their primary care clinician, which can be done by phone or an office visit if necessary. Many of these symptoms will resolve for 80% of the population with this viral infection that are otherwise healthy. This may just be a very dramatic, very intense influenza-like infection. So therefore, testing of those patients won't change our management. We would still recommend the same rest, plenty of hydration, using medications as directed by their clinicians for monitoring for fever and body aches as well.
Now, if someone's, say, living with someone that has tested positive, but they themselves haven't been tested and are feeling okay, how long should they stay out of like the grocery store or the gas station and places like that?
We've still been sticking to what the Department of Health has been recommending, and we do recommend 14 days. If there isn't a rush to be outside to do anything, to give yourself a good time of 14 days to allow all of those symptoms to really heal. We do know that patients, as they get better, even though that they may recover sooner than others, that the virus can still be spread by patients shortly after their illness. So we're really recommending 14 weeks of being inside if that's possible for the patient.
And that's 14 days?
That's correct.
Okay, perfect. And should they give you a call beforehand if they think that they have coronavirus? I know we were saying that with the ER, instead of just showing up.
Yeah, we definitely recommend that patients give us a call before. We have a COVID call line that's on our website, and we also have triaging that can be done by virtual visits. But what we're doing is recommending that if they have any concerns or questions about their symptoms, to reach out to us first, so that we can ideally find the best way of triaging them, whether or not they need to come in, and preparing if they do need to come in to make sure that they have a mask and they know the correct protocol to coming in.
Perfect. Sounds good. So we are going to take a short break, and we'll be back with the doctor in just a couple minutes. So keep your questions coming, and we can get them answered here on air. Stay with us.
12 Special Report is brought to you by Montefiore Einstein. Our governor has asked us all to join the fight against COVID-19. Sticking together and staying home flattens the curve to save lives.
All this week at 7 p.m., tune in for a special live show about the coronavirus pandemic. How long will this health scare alter our lives? Call in or submit your questions online. Local experts will answer your questions and address your concerns. Don't miss News 12 special coverage of the coronavirus pandemic.
This News 12 Special Report is brought to you by Montefiore Einstein. Our governor has asked us all to join the fight against COVID-19. Sticking together and staying home saves lives. Hashtag flatten the curve.
News 12 is brought to you in part by Raymore and Flanagan. Surround yourself in style.
Keep life moving. It's what we do for our members every day. The world is changing, and our communities have been put on pause, but the mission to serve our members is not. AAA's Emergency Roadside is essential to everyday life. If you do have to be on the road, know that we will be there too, 24/7 assisting members in need. We've been here for our members for over 100 years, and that does not stop today. AAA, keep life moving.
From roof to foundation, the damage to your home can be devastating, from clogged gutters, leaking roofs, and flooded basements. Protect your entire home with Leaf Filter. Leaf Filter's micromesh screen is guaranteed to filter out everything except for water.
It's protected my home. I love it.
Call 833-376-8131 or go to getleaffilter.com for your free gutter inspection and estimate. Call or log on today and save 15%.
Hi, it's Jan from Toyota. As part of your community, we're here to help you during these challenging times.
Keeping your Toyota safe and reliable is important, especially right now. Many of our service centers are open. Schedule service online and drop off and pick up your vehicle with no contact. Need to replace your old vehicle? Most Toyota dealers offer online shopping and will defer your first payment for 90 days.
We're here for you. Contact your local Toyota dealer to see how they can help. Toyota.
If you're on Medicare and make less than $16,000 a year, you could save money by switching to Emblem Health. In fact, if you enroll in an Emblem Health Special Needs Plan, you may save in 4 ways. Here's how. First, you could save $1,500 a year with a prepaid card you could use to pay for over-the-counter drugs. Second, you could save with $0 co-pays on all these: doctor visits, hospital stays, labs, acupuncture, eye exams, and a host of dental procedures, all for $0. Third, you could save with no monthly premiums. And fourth, you could earn up to $75 a year in wellness rewards. Start saving. Call Emblem Health toll-free now at 800-286-3790. Emblem Health. Healthcare for all of us. Call 800-286-3790.
News 12 is brought to you in part by Hospital for Special Surgery, now offering urgent ortho care and virtual visits. Learn more at hss.edu.
Welcome back to our coronavirus special. I'm Gianna Gelosi. So every night this week, we're going to be taking your questions and getting them answered by experts. This evening, we have Dr. Michael Chen-Illamos, a family physician at Open Door Family Medical Center in Ossining. So once again, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you again for having me.
Perfect. So to start, how are you reassuring people when they come in your office, even if they do test positive? What are you telling them? Because it can be scary seeing everything on social media, seeing things on the news, hearing these really horror stories about what some people are going through. So what are you telling them to reassure them?
Of course, the patients that are coming in, when we test them and they're positive, or they have symptoms that are very suggestive of coronavirus, and we let them know that we're concerned about this particular type of infection for them. It's not surprising that a lot of patients start to cry and that they're really worried, and they are fearing that they're going to end up in the hospital and that they may not make it through this. And that's not the norm, and that's not the majority of cases for what we're seeing. We try to reassure our patients with knowing the things to look out for, when to call the clinician, when to follow up with us, and trying to give them a little bit of an expectation about what the viral course is. Like, what can we expect at the very beginning? What can you feel at the beginning and toward the middle and the end, so that patients know that that things may be getting better for them. We also we reach out to our patients about every 48 hours by phone, and we'll do a phone check-in with them to see that their symptoms are resolving. And if they're not resolved, we'll continue to check in every 48 hours to let them know that we're here on the other end to really accompany them through this illness, to make sure that they're really healing well, and making sure that we're answering their questions. We provide a lot of patient education when they come in to see us. We have ways that we can send our patient education via portal system. So we're doing that to help give our patients information online as well. Information that we know is coming from the Centers for Disease Control in multiple different languages that may be appropriate for our patients. But we're making sure that they're getting the correct information to give them some reassurance.
And that's important. That is knowledge is power there. So question about masks. So we've seen people, or the CDC, the government, all that reverse course on who should wear a mask, if you should wear a mask if you're out. And recently we've been seeing a lot of people going out for maybe like a run or a walk or a bike ride. Should they be wearing their mask if they're riding around the park or riding around their neighborhood or walking around that way, or just in a grocery store kind of environment?
That's a really good question. Wearing the mask now, given what we understand about the transmission of the virus, it is advised to continue to wear the mask, especially when going on a run or going into the food store. I think many of us may not know when our symptoms that we may have symptoms, and maybe the next day you wake up with a fever, but the day before you were at the grocery store. So you could still be transmitting the virus even though you may not have symptoms at that time. So I think for the goodness of the community and for public health, I think it's probably in the best interest to wear our masks when we're outside in the community. And I think that's all about really protecting the people around us, especially the most vulnerable patients that have multiple illnesses around us as well.
Now, on the flip side of this, we've also seen a lot of video and pictures of people leaving their PPE in the parking lots and stuff, and not disposing of it properly. So what would be the right way to get rid of your gloves after you've been in the grocery store, or to get rid of your mask? Is it okay to like keep a bag in your car and put it in there, or would that contaminate your car a little bit, you know? What do you think?
I think the best thing to do is that if you're out and about before entering into your car or before entering into the home, to discard of any of your PPE in a trash bin that's outside. If you're not able to do that, then I think putting it in a bag or paper bag that you can seal and close away and then discard at a more appropriate time would probably be the best way. I think we want to really try to decrease the littering in the area, and just the mess that can really amount to over time, but trying to do that in a responsible way.
And another question from Facebook. This person says that they are COVID-19 positive. Should they be concerned with anything after overcoming the virus?
So that's a great question. For the majority of patients, as they're getting over their illness, some patients may have a lingering cough. Some patients may have some fatigue when you're feeling really tired and really exhausted. And a lot of that can be attributed to the fact that your body is fighting off an infection. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of calories to do that. So sometimes it takes a little bit of time to ease yourself back to the activities that you normally would be doing. So if you're running or if you're a runner, probably not going back to that same amount of exertion, but easing yourself into it over time. Also, if you have any questions of symptoms that are getting worse, contacting your clinician is probably the best thing to do to get some extra guidance along that way.
So contact your clinician, and how long have you been seeing that these residual kind of symptoms last for?
So I've seen some symptoms last for about 3 to 4 weeks. And they're very mild symptoms. They're not very concerning or dangerous symptoms. They're just very bothersome. Sometimes it's a cough. Sometimes it's a dry tickle in the throat. Sometimes it could be just feeling that your chest, you feel a little bit of like muscle strain, like you've been lifting a lot of things or a lot of heavy things. And it really is some of the symptoms that are amount from your body fighting off an infection over the last couple of weeks.
And just briefly, so during this whole, as long as you're feeling something, you should stay away from the outside world.
Absolutely.
Just stay out of it. Okay, well, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with the doctor shortly. So again, you can keep your questions coming. You can do that on Facebook, on any of our social media platforms, or you can email them to us, and we'll be sure to get them answered to you. And if you didn't get your question through tonight, you can try again tomorrow. We're going to be doing this every day this week at 7 o'clock, so stay with us.
This News 12 special report is brought to you by Montefiore Einstein. Our governor has asked us all to join the fight against COVID-19. Sticking together and staying home flattens the curve to save lives.
Hello, I'm William Shatner, and you may not know this about me, but years ago, I was diagnosed with a sleep disorder. And like millions of others, I was prescribed sleep equipment. Did you know sleep equipment manufacturers recommend daily cleaning? That's why I use SoClean. It's the perfect complement to my daily routine, and it's hassle-free. SoClean is fast and easy. It keeps my sleep equipment fresh every day without the need for disassembly.
With SoClean, daily maintenance is a snap. All you do is place your equipment in, close the lid, and walk away. You can try SoClean risk-free for 30 nights. Order now and get a $50 rebate.
SoClean is so fast and gives you peace of mind that your sleep equipment is fresh each time you use it.
Call 1-800-319-7621. And for a limited time, get a $50 rebate. Call 1-800-319-7621. Or go to SoClean.com.
Audible is my road trip companion.
It's kind of my quiet alone time.
Audible is a routine for me.
It's like a fun night school for adults.
I could easily be seduced into locking myself in a place where I do nothing but listen to books.
I never was interested in historical fiction before, but now...
There are a lot of classic and big titles that I feel like I missed out. Since I don't have time to read, might as well listen.
If I want to catch up on the news or history or learn what's going on in the world, I can download a book and listen to it.
Because I listened to her story over and over again, I made the decision to go ahead and follow my own dream, which was to help other veterans.
I think there's 180 books in my library now. It changes your perspective. It makes you a different person.
It's true. It's so true.
To start your free 30-day trial, just text LISTEN11 to 500-500.
Hi, it's Jan from Toyota. As part of your community, we're here to help you during these challenging times.
Keeping your Toyota safe and reliable is important, especially right now. Many of our service centers are open. Schedule service online and drop off and pick up your vehicle with no contact. Need to replace your old vehicle? Most Toyota dealers offer online shopping and will defer your first payment for 90 days.
We're here for you. Contact your local Toyota dealer to see how they can help. Toyota.
News 12 is brought to you in part by Raymore and Flanagan. Surround yourself in style.
Welcome back to our coronavirus special. I'm Gianna Gelosi. Tonight we've had Dr. Michael Chen-Illamos with us. He is a doctor from Open Door Family Medical Center in Ossining. So, doctor, what would you like people to take away from this? What final message would you like to give them in terms of this pandemic?
Yeah, I think what would be the most helpful is to really follow the things that have been said by the governor and the Department of Health. Stay at home, social distancing when you're out and about, and don't come within 6 feet if you can avoid it. Hand washing with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Covering your mouth when you cough or you sneeze by coughing or sneezing into your elbow and avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. The basics of the basics here are the means of prevention. It's a small effort on everyone's part, but it makes a big difference in the community. And most of all, it helps keep our loved ones and the people that we live with safe and healthy during this very challenging time.
Perfect. So you just encourage people to do what we've been doing, because the governor says we are doing a good job, essentially. That's what you would tell them. Perfect. And again, they should reach out to you if they're feeling any symptoms. Call ahead of time. You're still taking normal patients and COVID potential patients.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. So that was our coronavirus special today. Again, that was Dr. Michael Chen-Illamos, a family physician at Open Door Family Medical Center in Ossining. So thanks again to him for joining us. And we'll be doing this program every night this week at 7 o'clock. So again, you can ask your questions on Facebook, any social media platform, leave a comment, and we'll try to get them answered for you. You can also email them in. So be sure to join us again tomorrow at 7.